It's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting of the State Rules and Regulations Board to order. Deputy Attorney General Robert Hutchison sitting as chair as the Attorney General's designee. I'll go ahead and first have the members of the board in the room introduce themselves, and then we'll check to see who is online with us.
I am Charles Long. I am with the Department of Administration, representing Secretary.
Clay Barker, designee for Secretary of State Scott Schwab.
And Representative Wassinger, are you here with us online?
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Representative Carmichael, I believe you are online as well.
I'm here as well, but it would be helpful if you try to speak into the microphone. I'm only hearing about 75% of what you say.
All right, I'll bring it closer. Is that better?
That is much better. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Good morning. And is there anyone else online that has not introduced themselves? Okay. We will go ahead and move forward to the first item on today's agenda, and that would be review and approval of the minutes from the July 17th, 2023 meeting. Are there any comments on the agenda? If not, I would take a motion.
I move that the minutes be adopted.
A motion from Clay Barker.
I'll second. This is Representative Wassinger.
Second from Representative Wassinger. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The agenda is approved. We have one set of temporary regulations before the board today. These are temporary regulations from the Kansas Department of Health and the Environment. Regulations KAR 2834-145 through 152. I believe Caitlin Ratloff is here to provide testimony. So we could please just make sure your microphone is on, introduce yourself, and tell us what these regulations are about.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Can everybody online hear me? Okay. Take that as a yes. Chairman Hutchinson. Oh,
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Chairman Hutchinson and members of the board, I am Caitlin Radloff, attorney for the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to discuss the proposed regulations for rural emergency hospitals. The United States Congress, through the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, established a rural emergency hospital designation. Commencing in January 2023, qualifying hospitals could apply for rural emergency hospital designation and receive Medicare payment for providing emergency services. The rural emergency hospital designation is designed to maintain access to critical outpatient hospital services in communities that may not be able to support or sustain a critical access hospital or small rural hospital. In response to the passage of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, the Kansas Legislature passed House Bill 2208, which codified the Rural Emergency Hospital Act. In establishing the Rural Emergency Hospital Act, the Kansas Legislature recognized the importance and necessity of providing and regulating the system by which healthcare services are structured and integrated to promote the availability of and access to necessary and appropriate healthcare to protect the general health, safety, and welfare of the rural residents of Kansas. To meet its stated goals, the Kansas Legislature created a category of licensure to enable certain Kansas hospitals to receive federal healthcare reimbursement as rural emergency hospitals. The proposed regulations are necessary to effectively implement licensure of rural emergency hospitals as provided by Session Law 2021, Chapter 88, Section 7, passed during the 2021 regular legislative session. The regulations are being proposed as both temporary and permanent regulations. Pursuant to KSA 77-422A, a temporary regulation may be adopted if a state agency and this board find that it preserves the public peace, health, safety, or welfare. These regulations are vital to the preservation of public health, safety, and welfare, as obtaining a rural emergency hospital license allows rural hospitals to receive critical funding from CMS, thereby enabling these hospitals to remain open in rural areas of Kansas. Beginning in January 2023, urgent requests were received by KDHE from rural hospitals asking for a rural emergency hospital license. 2 hospitals indicated they were operating at a loss. 1 disclosed their loss exceeded $100,000 per month. The second hospital indicated that closure was imminent as there were several $1 million in debt. Both hospitals indicated that without a significant change in their healthcare delivery to their respective communities, the losses were not tenable. Moreover, the Kansas Hospital Association has identified a number of critical access hospitals that are considering becoming rural emergency hospitals in lieu of closing. At the time of this narrative, another hospital has contacted KDHE pursuing the conversion to a rural emergency hospital. It is in the interest of the state of Kansas and all Kansans to allow rural hospitals to obtain a state-issued rural emergency hospital license. KDHE requests your approval on the temporary regulations, which will allow KDHE to move forward with licensing and regulating rural emergency hospitals. The notice of hearing for the permanent regulations has been submitted to the Secretary of State for publication in the Kansas Register. The public hearing is scheduled for November 14th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in room 530 on the 5th floor, Curtis State Office Building, 1000 Southwest Jackson, Topeka, Kansas. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to appear, and I will stand for questions.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any questions for KDHE?
This is Representative Carmichael. I do have a question.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I believe we have the Joint Committee on Rules and Regulations coming up maybe next week. Time flies. Are we set to hear this by the Joint Committee here next week? I think it is.
I believe it's scheduled for October 10th. And yes, KDHE will be appearing then.
Brian Vasquez seems to be confirming that.
Okay, so all I have to do is to figure out whether October 10 is next Friday. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? This might have been an easy one for you. So if there's no other questions, I would take a motion on these temporary regulations.
I move that we approve the temporary regulations. This is Representative Wassinger.
We have a motion by Representative Wassinger to approve the temporary regulations as presented. Any a second?
I'll second.
Second by Charles Long. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The temporary regulations have been approved. Thank you very much for appearing before us. Are there any other matters for the State Rules and Regulations Board today? I believe we have a meeting set for October 10th. Is that right, Laura? On another set of temporary regulations. And there could be some more coming down the pike, and we'll keep you all updated as those get approved and get moved through.
Yes, it is October. That is October 10th.
Then I look forward to seeing you all then. And if there's nothing else for the board, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.